Look! Look, the dynamic duo!
Okay, oh cool, at least you know I made it. The G's the fool, the G's the I don't believe.
I thought I could change my name, start a new life. But I could never escape his shadow.
Hey guys, welcome to the Dynamic Duo. I'm Franz.
I'm Kevin. Welcome home to the new Batcave in Avengers Tower, everybody. Good to see you. Glad you're back.
Kevin, today we're going to review the Shang Chi movie. And this is going to be a spoiler review. And we waited a week so that we can have a spoiler review. And it's going to be an honest review. And so basically what that means is that I'm going to bring out my claws like this.
Way to go, Wolvie. I like it. I like it. Wrong movie, but I like it.
I'm just going to have to be honest, my friend. All right. So we saw the movie yesterday. And what did you think?
All right. Since this is a spoiler review, and as always, we are honest with the audience, I'm going to tell you, I enjoyed it, but I must be honest. I enjoyed it with a certain level of reservation. And what I mean by that is, yes, the settings for the movie were outstanding. The fight scenes were really cool and that kind of thing. But I thought the story needed work terribly. I thought certain people within the movie were miscast. I'm gonna be on, including the young actor who played Shang Chi. I thought he was miscast. Body type wise, even though they got through the martial arts and the fight scenes, he didn't work for me as Shang Chi. There was something about his approach. And maybe it's because I'm too jaded from growing up with the original comics and material from the 60s and 70s. His body type didn't fit for me. I have to be honest, I was never happy with the overall costumes. You know, I know that, you know, of course, with the modern age, you know, they've done the mesh kind of body armor thing that didn't fit in here to me. It didn't work. As I said, I thought the story needed work. The action was off the chain. There's no question about it. But I wonder if, and we've talked about this before, but I got to be honest, I wonder if a portion of the audience has not latched on to this movie for two reasons. One, because it's a Marvel movie. And two, and I'm not making fun of anything relating to the pandemic. I wouldn't dare. I've known family and friends that have passed away from this mess. But I wonder if on a worldwide basis, this movie is not gathering its audience. And you have a right to have your claws out for it simply because people want to get out of the house and have something to do. Not to drone this into the ground, but I truly, truly thought that the story was somewhat flat. We have seen this same, you know, son versus father storyline countless times, both in American Asian cinema and Asian cinema itself. It's a storyline that they need to, in some way, refresh. It's again, I don't want to run away with this, and I don't want to insult anybody, but I'm going to say this, and if our viewers hate us afterwards, it's my fault. The reason why the movie bothered me and a lot of the story bothered me is that past a certain point in the film yesterday, I have to tell you, it bored me because they weren't doing anything. The actor that played Shang Chi, and forgive me for not remembering his name. I'm sorry. Forgive me ahead of time. He was boring. Okay, there. Even with the original Shang Chi comic books, and the character was always quiet and somewhat reserved, even in those books. A lot of what they ended up doing in the Shang Chi comic books, and I've mentioned this before in other material, it was very kung fu like, and I mean kung fu TV show like. And the material was originally conceived and written for Bruce Lee, and this didn't fit. He didn't come across as the big hero at the end of it. I'm glad they won and all that kind of thing, but it didn't have me sitting on the edge of my seat. And I have to say this, and I'll let you take over from here. One of the things, partner, that bothered me about this film is I realize, and I do, how important dragons are to Asian culture. I get it. It's part of who they are as a people. But I gotta tell you, again, the whole dragon involvement, it was nothing new. They didn't do anything with it. And I'm only saying this because personally, I would have loved another storyline other than the the evil dragon is the problem. What I would have wanted was, okay, since you got to do the dragon thing, allow the dragon thing to have taken over Shang-Chi's mother. Okay? Allow her to be possessed by this thing upon her death. And that way you could build upon this story. Okay? It's I didn't see that yesterday. It was just another the Asian guy has to find the power of the dragon and save us all. And even at the end of it, he didn't come across as the big projected Marvel hero, especially with the way they closed the movie. Because I got to tell you, the way they closed the movie, I found it a little bit insulting. You know, the whole Hotel California karaoke thing, that was fine at the beginning of the movie. You're going to turn around and end the film the same way, and neither he or Aquafina, in terms of her character Katie, are all that changed. They're sitting in a bar relating this back or trying to explain this back to two friends of theirs, and this is how you end this movie. You know, I personally think in a weird way that Marvel kind of threw them a bone and said, okay, Asian community, okay, Asian people of the world, even though this is an Asian character, here's your film, shut up and leave everybody alone. I kind of felt that by the end of the movie, because all these other films, regardless of whether you liked them or not, they had big crescendo moments. Shang-Chi, in my opinion, doesn't have that.
Listen, we must have been separated at birth. Now, we must have been separated at birth. It doesn't even make sense because you must be my brother from another mother. Like,
how many times have we said it?
Because, you know, just so you guys know, we saw the movie yesterday. We saw it together. And I was like, listen, don't say anything. Don't tell me anything. Let's talk about it during the show. And everything that you've said is 1,000% how I feel. Like 1,000%. Now, let me start off by saying this. I'm conflicted with this review, but I'm less conflicted because we're doing it now, 2 weeks after the fact. So we're not going to affect the box office of this movie. And the reason is because I want this movie to do well. I want diversity. I want, you know, Asian characters. And I particularly want diversity that doesn't infringe on established characters. So Shang Chi, as was Black Panther, there's a perfect examples of that. And I want Marvel, to be honest with you, to succeed. And so far, the movie has done very, very well. People have been happy with it. And it's also very fair for those of you watching it. Let me say this. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it, because make up your own mind at always, you know, always make up your own mind. For the record, Kevin, when I saw it, I saw it prior to yesterday.
Right.
And I saw it with a pretty good audience, pretty decent sized audience. And at the end of the movie, people clapped. People clapped and they stayed and they were engaged and they were, you know, interested and they were satisfied and they were pleased. They clapped on several different occasions. So it goes to show you that, hey, listen, first of all, it's our opinion. And second of all, judge for yourself and see if you agree or disagree. Having said all that, given the fact that it's 2 weeks after the fact and the fact that this movie has done well, I do agree with you. I agree with you. The movie is good. It's good, but that's all it is. It's all right. You know, it's such a difficult thing to explain the difference between good and awesome or great, because a lot of the factors were there in this movie. They tried to do things. You could see that they tried, right? They tried to deliver something, and it just wasn't quite there. It just wasn't. First of all, you're dead on. The casting was poor. I absolutely agree with you. As strange as it may sound, the actor is the wrong body type. I agree with you. He doesn't bring me Shang-Chi in any way, shape, or form. They tried to have a legitimate story with the father, the connection, but I don't mind when things have been done a million times. But when you're doing something that's been done a million times, you got to bring something new to the table. You have to bring a certain gravitas. You have to make me concerned and you have to make me connected. And it wasn't quite there. And the reason it wasn't quite there was because while they made efforts to have, you know, serious scenes within the movie, and while they tried not to make it silly, the overall tone of the movie leaned too far to the, not silly, I'm not going to say silly, but too light. I think I've said this before. This is like light beer. It's like drinking a light beer. You know, there's beer. There are beers that come from breweries. You know, I forget the term. Brewed beers. There's store-bought beers, and then there's light beer. It's still beer. You can still enjoy it, but it's light. Every facet of it somehow is lacking a certain gravitas that makes you connected. Aquafina's performance to me was good. One of the things that I appreciated about her was that she didn't go campy. She didn't go over the top. Her humor fit the movie because she's a funny person, as there are funny people in the world. And she's running into situations that are extreme and she's reacting to those situations in a funny way. I thought her performance was good. At times she was shocked. At times she was, you know, serious. And at times she was like, what the, they changed your name from Sean to Sean? You know, those kinds of things worked for me. But here's the problem. While the movie did not go Thor Ragnarok, one of the worst movies ever made, meaning while the movie did not go Thor Ragnarok, meaning it wasn't a full comedy and everybody wasn't cracking jokes and you know, it was just slapstick humor type of thing in every facet. The movie, you're right, at one point it deviated too much to the light. The moment they came into Ben Kingsley's character, it was almost as if we have this great actor, he's an Academy Award actor, we have to use him, so let's write a script for him, right? And since he's kind of a humorous character, let's make it humorous. But what that does is now you've got two humorous characters, and he's talking about things that are completely unrelated to the movie. Now you add funny looking animals to the mix. And now it's like, wait, is this real or is this not real? Like, what's happening? The difference, I won't go too much because I think you've said everything so well. I would say this: the differences between when you watch Scarlet, when you watch Black Widow, which is, in my opinion, comparable to Winter Soldier and Civil War. You know, good quality gravitas, still action oriented. You compare those films to Shang Chi, and it's just not comparable, in my opinion. It's just not. Do I regret seeing it? Absolutely not. Would I watch it again? I did with you. Am I telling people not to go see it? Quite the contrary. Go check it out and think for yourself. But is it a movie that's memorable to me? Is it a movie that's going to be like, yo, Kevin, you have to see this movie? Is it a movie that I'm gonna have a poster of on my wall? It's simply not. And I don't know if it's because of lack of skill, lack of preparation, or lack of care, but it's just not there for me.
Partner, again, on top of what I said, I agree with you, and I thank you for saying it. I was droning on, and I apologize, but I do want to bring up the whole thing with Ben Kingsley. He had no business in this movie.
None.
Okay.
None.
They had
Zero.
established his character in Iron Man 3, and Iron Man 3 to me was a huge letdown for what they ended up doing with Iron Man and his whole idea of being in there. And I don't care what Marvel ends up saying for the press, the whole idea of having Ben Kingsley, regardless of what they did with the character himself, as in him playing the almost said Mandalorian, the Mandarin, was somebody sitting at a table during negotiation for Iron Man 3 said, well, Jack Nicholson played the Joker and he's the one of the more ultimate serious characters or character actors. So why don't we do the same thing with an Iron Man or a Marvel movie? And the name Ben Kingsley got dropped, and I believe honestly that's how he got in the movie. And I think why he's back in Shang-Chi is because there may have been a dangling carrot in his contract where it was said, okay, you know, you're done for now with what we've established, but we'll bring you back. And they never honestly got around to bringing him back before the last phase was finished. Because the audience needs to understand Shang-Chi is starting a brand new phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The original phase with Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, etc., that's over. They're done. This is something new. So even though these things are going to join together in the long run, and they've said that everything is going to join together in its own right. I mean, that's without question. This is a new chapter of the book, so to speak. And I think they threw him in because at some point somebody said, you know, we could get in trouble with Ben Kingsley if he decides to pursue this. And they had to figure out what to do with him because he doesn't fit. And unfortunately, the way they have him lined up, you can kind of tell he doesn't fit. He's even, regardless of how talented that man is, he's even looking into the camera at certain points like, what the hell am I doing here? And it's not the character per se. You can see it out of the actor, and that's bad.
You're right.
Anytime, and again, this is speculation on my part, but this is what I believe they've done. I think he was like, okay, they gave me the money. They gave me the money they promised. I'll put on the costumes. When my scenes are over, I'll walk away. And I have a question for you. Even though I read the Shang-Chi books as a kid, I don't remember the Mandarin being his father.
No, the Mandarin was not his father.
Okay,
No.
this is another, again, this is another one of those things where, in order for Marvel to do what they're doing, they decided to go ahead and do that. You know, they made it to Mandarin in order to make certain things, I would assume, convenient for themselves. But, and I understand certain things when it comes down to that. I mean, DC did it with Batman. The person that killed Batman's parents originally was a guy by the name of Joe Chill, not
Joker.
Frank Napier from the '89 movie. And unfortunately, a lot of people believe that it was the Frank Napier Joker character because that's what they've grown up with. And I have a feeling that a lot of people have kind of attached themselves to this now in the sense of, okay, this is how they're going to bring back Tony Stark or the new Iron Man, because they've said that Shang-Chi has something to do with the Mandarin. That's kind of dangerous when you start messing around with comic histories that way. And I'm not trying to overstate that. That's a dangerous thing when you start juggling it like that, in my opinion.
So I couldn't agree more. And instead of reiterating what you've said, here's a question that I have. Here's the thing that puzzles me and that baffles me a little bit. All right, you're making Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi based on a comic book character of the 70s, and early 80s. Clearly, there were fans of that character. Clearly, he fit into a genre, a universe, Marvel DC universe that has a huge following. Kevin, why not just throw that audience a bone? You're making Shang-Chi. Why not throw that audience a bone? Now, I get certain things. I do understand that some of the comic books could be accused of being stereotypical. Were they, or were they emulating the Kung Fu movies? You know what? Either way, I will respect whoever's position says to me. If they think it's stereotypical, I'll accept it. If not, I'll accept it as well. But the fact of the matter is, the gi is an existing thing. And traditional Chinese garb is also an existence. I've seen many movies with Chinese emperors dressed in, their Chinese traditional garb. Mm-hmm. So given that, when Shang-Chi is getting the opportunity to don a costume, why not give him a red gi? Why not give him a red gi and just throw us that bone? Why not make the Mandarin a more menacing, legitimate, real character? They've made him based from the past. So therefore, while I do agree that you don't want to necessarily go crazy with the stereotypes, but why not make him a much more legitimate character that retains his Chinese heritage and does not wear a Western suit as if that's the only thing that's legitimate as a way to dress? And why not make him be the Mandarin, maintaining his Chinese heritage and the Chinese garb and the Chinese traditional dress as a character and as a villain, even in this modern day? Why not throw us that bone? Another issue that's raised is the whole question of, wait a second, how powerful exactly is Shang-Chi? And this is not just with Shang-Chi. I have the same issue with people like Captain America and so on and so forth. It's like, these guys, are they human level or what's happening? Like they're doing Spider-Man level performances, falling off buildings. And it's Marvel is falling into the trap of everyone has to be the most powerful. And that doesn't work, in my opinion. That's not right, in my opinion. There are different power levels. And it's okay for Shang-Chi to be on a human scale, martial arts kung fu master, which is what I always thought he was.
Yeah.
They completely changed the 10 rings into something completely different. Is it better? Is it more realistic? really, that's debatable to me. So if it's debatable, why change it? So all these questions and more. One last thing that I'll say in terms of observation and criticism is, listen, I agree with you. Dragons, the nine tailed cats and fox, these things are traditional Chinese things that absolutely I understand why they would want to put in the movie. But when they go into, was it Tao Lo?
Yeah.
When they
Cello,
go
yeah.
into that world, it was too Disney-ish for me. It was too pretty for me. It's like, it's all those little things that lose the gravitas of a movie. When everything is light and pretty and cute and everybody's kind of joking around and things that are happening that are just not realistic, but hey, you know what? Suspension of disbelief. But there's only so much suspension of disbelief you can have before you're like, oh, listen, bro, this is not realistic. This isn't working for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it went over the line, but I think it skirted the line right up to the line, to the point where I'm just, you walk away like, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but I wish it would have been better. I really, truly do.
Partner, let me ask you something. And again, this is not a bashing of Shang-Chi at all. Because I admit, and you've admitted, we both like the movie, but in different contexts. One of my favorite sideline characters is the sorcerer Wong. Do you think they wasted Wong with the way he was used in this movie? I personally do.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think they felt the need to add him because of his Asian heritage. But again, I think I agree with you. I think first of all, it was a waste of a character. Particularly the way they used him. If it was just the end piece, I would have accepted it. But you know who else they wasted? The Abomination.
Yes.
Dude, what they did with the Abomination was very wrong, because they wasted the character in the sense that they minimized him.
Yes.
Now, the Abomination is one of the biggest threats in Marvel. He is arguably at times stronger than the Incredible Hulk. He goes toe-to-toe with the Hulk. And they reduced him to a guy fighting in the ring.
Right. He's a cage fighter, right.
He's a cage fighter and losing to Wong. So there's a lot of that stuff, a lot of that throwaway stuff in the movie that's added in for the sake of adding it in. The nine-tailed fox thing, the dragon things, as you mentioned before, there's a lot of stuff that they just, it was like, you know what it was? It was formulaic. It was connect the dot movie making.
God, thank you for saying that.
That's what it was. It was connect the dot movie making. It's the same kind of nonsense that you see in Lifetime movies. All the Lifetime movies are exactly the same as one another. And it's because, and regardless of the director, it's because they're connecting the dot. Okay, actor, line up, give me a script. We're going to follow the script. It's not going to be bad, but it's not going to be good. It's not going to be a project coming from the heart that you want to deliver. I watch, one last thing that I'll say, dude, there's a show that I'm going to recommend to everyone. It's called Alice in Borderland. It's in Netflix. It's a great show. It's a great, great show. But what's great about it is that not only did they find a way to introduce a new subject, a new way to tell a story, but the gravitas, the things that are happening within the series, it makes you connected. It makes you care. So when two people are fighting or arguing or whatever's going on, you are connected in a way that's like, holy crap. It's the same thing like Spider-Man fighting Doc Ock on the train. I'm talking about Tobey Maguire. It's a whole different level than just two people just bouncing around at each other. So now I'm droning on and on and on, but Yeah, I agree with you 1,000% that they wasted wine.
And by the way, happy belated birthday.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks. I'm sorry.
But before we go, or what have you, I want to give a really quick shout out to one of our other huge supporters that's been with us from the beginning, a gentleman by the name of Victor West. Some of you may see him online, and he may be known to a lot of you as the Cowboy. I will say this much. Thank you, Cowboy, for all the support. Stay with us and keep rounding up the doggies, man. We appreciate it. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm remiss, I forgot to mention Victor yesterday in our previous show, but definitely someone who's been with us and very supporting from the very, very beginning. Total gratitude and absolute shout out to him. So, guys, let us know what you think. Let us know if you agree, disagree. I think one thing for sure, Kevin, I think, I don't know that we get these kinds of reviews anywhere else. I think this kind of genuine, unbiased type of point of view, I don't see it anywhere else. People either jump on the bandwagon and love or jump on the bandwagon and hate, and everybody just falls in line.
Yeah.
And again, this is not a hating or coming for this movie in any way, shape, or form. This is just an honest review of a movie, and it is what it is. We hope you guys enjoy this level of honesty.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Come back and see us real soon.